Because fortune is not a destination you stumble upon one lucky day. Fortune is a current that begins to flow the moment you align yourself with the laws of growth, the principles of persistence, the discipline of self-mastery. Think of it like this. Imagine a river hidden beneath the earth. It has always been there, waiting. Most people spend their lives standing on the surface, hoping for rain, begging for someone to pour water into their cup. But the wise, the relentless, the visionaries, they pick up a shovel, they dig. They go down into the soil of themselves until they strike that underground stream, and once they do, the water flows without end. That is what building yourself does. It taps into the inexhaustible source of creation that was always inside you. Every great leader, every self-made titan, every revolutionary thinker tapped that same river. Abraham Lincoln had no wealth, no privilege, no roadmap. Born in a log cabin, self-taught from scraps of books, ridiculed, defeated in elections, he still refused to let the outer world define the inner man. He built a mind sharp enough to unite a fractured nation. His fortune was not measured in gold, but in legacy, in the eternal power of his decisions. And here is what you must remember. Before Lincoln had the power to change a country, he had to win the war inside himself. The war against self-doubt, against discouragement, against the temptation to give up. That war is your war. Every day you fight it. Every morning when the alarm rings, every evening when distraction calls, every time your dream whispers, do more, and your excuses shout, do less. That battlefield is where your fortune is won or lost. If you lose yourself to laziness, to fear, to conformity, you've lost before you've begun. But if you conquer yourself, if you master your impulses, if you demand greatness from the person in the mirror, then there is no force on this earth that can keep your fortune from finding you. Because money follows value. Opportunities chase preparation. And the world bows to the man or woman who has first bowed to their own discipline. So ask yourself right now, are you building the kind of self that fortune can trust? Are you laying foundations so deep, storms cannot shake you? Are you constructing an identity so strong, wealth becomes not a burden, but a tool in your hands? If not, then today is the day to begin. Because the world doesn't need another person chasing riches. It needs another person becoming the kind of giant that riches cannot resist. And understand this, fortune is not blind. It does not stumble into the lives of the unprepared. It seeks out the hands that are ready to hold it, the minds that are sharp enough to use it, the hearts that are steady enough to guide it. Fortune is attracted to strength the way iron is pulled toward a magnet. Think of Thomas Edison, thousands of failed experiments, thousands of nights spent in the dim light of possibility, mocked by critics, doubted by investors, ridiculed by peers, yet he kept hammering at the invisible wall until it cracked. He didn't just invent the light bulb, he invented himself into the kind of man who could withstand ridicule, fatigue, and endless failure. The bulb was the byproduct. The true invention was the disciplined mind that refused to die. Do you see it? The fortune was never the filament. The fortune was the character that could endure the heat of rejection without burning out. That's what you're building when you build yourself first, a character that can carry the fire without being consumed by it. The masses pray for luck, but the giants of history knew that luck is simply opportunity meeting a prepared mind. If you win the lottery today but you haven't built discipline, focus, and vision, that money will be gone before you know it. But if you've built yourself, if you've forged resilience, clarity, and unshakable standards, you could lose everything today and still rebuild it all tomorrow. Because the fortune isn't in your possessions, it's in your capacity. That's why Andrew Carnegie once said he would willingly destroy every one of his factories, his railroads, his steel plants, if he could only keep his people, because he knew the true fortune wasn't in the structures, but in the minds that built them. So I ask you, have you become the kind of person who could lose it all and rise again? Could you face ashes and still see blueprints? Could you look at nothing and still see something? Because that's what separates the temporary winners from the eternal builders. The temporary winners cling to what they've gained. The eternal builders trust what they've become. And that trust, that unshakable certainty in yourself, is the most valuable fortune you will ever possess. Tell me, would you like me to keep driving this script deeper into resilience and adaptability, or shift it into vision and clarity as the next natural flow? Because vision is the architect of fortune. Without it, you're like a builder stacking bricks without a blueprint, busy, exhausted, but heading nowhere. With vision, every stroke of effort becomes intentional, every sacrifice becomes an investment, every moment becomes infused with purpose. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Imagine that. The man who would one day create a kingdom of dreams was once told he had none. But what his critics could not see was that inside him lived a vision so vivid, so unshakable, that rejection became nothing more than fuel. He saw castles before there were bricks. He saw characters before there were sketches. He saw parades before there were streets. That is the power of vision. Building a fortune begins by building a world within. And here is the truth most ignore. The fortune you seek is already alive in your imagination. Your mind is the drafting table where the empire takes its first shape. Every invention, every skyscraper, every company, every revolution first lived in the invisible realm of thought. Napoleon Hill himself declared, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But those words are not poetry, they are mechanics. They are law. Your imagination is the furnace, belief is the fire, and action is the hammer that forges the invisible into steel. But here is where most falter. They let their vision die in the silence of doubt. They share their dream with small minds and let those small minds convince them it's impossible. They allow the world to dictate what is practical instead of letting their inner voice declare what is inevitable. You must protect your vision as though it were a flame in the wind. You must guard it from negativity, feed it with faith, strengthen it with knowledge, and advance it with relentless action. Because the moment you let your vision flicker out, you forfeit the fortune it was destined to bring. Henry Ford was told his idea for a motor car was foolish. "If I had asked people what they wanted," he said, "they would have told me faster horses." But he wasn't building his fortune on their limited vision. He was building it on his own. And because of that, the world changed forever. This is the difference. Those who build themselves first are not swayed by the short-sighted opinions of others. They carry a vision so strong it bends reality to its shape. So let me ask you, what is the empire you see when you close your eyes? What is the masterpiece your soul keeps whispering about? And more importantly, will you protect it? Will you sacrifice for it? Will you give it the discipline, the action, and the faith it needs to breathe into life? Because the moment you do, the moment you decide to make vision your master and discipline your servant, fortune will no longer be something you chase. It will be something you attract. Do you want me to continue this script, flowing naturally into discipline and daily action as the next phase of building the self?